Hey.
That intro never gets old.
No, it doesn't. It was a really well done piece of cinema.
All right.
It's, yeah, I feel like it's.
Hey. Welcome, guys. Welcome to episode 5 of Late Night with Tactical Arbitrage with our and regulars Nate McAllister, Christopher Grant, and myself, Alex Moss.
Yep.
How are you guys?
New mic. Who dis?
Is that a Yeti?
Well, same mic, I guess, but different arm.
Is it a Yeti?
So
looks like a Yeti.
Yeah.
That's a Yeti.
Yeah, it's just a Yeti. I'm gonna replace it. It looks stupid, but I'm gonna get that Shure mic that who uses that? You don't use it, but Jacob Bates.
Yeah.
Gary
Sure that's a great mic. I almost pulled the trigger, but this thing's been a workhorse for me.
Those roadies are good though. What do you call it, a road?
Yeah, that's what I figured. RODE, Rode. It's probably Rode. That makes much more sense for a mic brand.
Couple of roadies. It does. I never even thought about that. I've called them Rode too.
There you go. We all learned something today. We can finish the show. That's good.
Well, if two of us think it's Rode and you think it's Roadie, I mean, I think that means we're right.
We need some input from the comments. Speaking of which, we have Lem Turner in the house. G'day, Lem.
What up, Lem? Which is actually short for, a few people know this, but it's actually short for Lemonade Turnaround.
Oh, very nice.
Let me Google it.
Ruth Ham, hello, how are you? Good to have you here. And if you are in YouTube or in Facebook, feel free to shout out and we may read you out. But we might even put you on the screen like this.
Hi, Ruth.
Hi, Ruth. Whoop, whoop.
Lem, whoop, whoop.
That is the beauty of StreamYard, which I recommend as a good platform for this kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm loving StreamYard.
Yeah, it's very cool. Just a few people coming in now before we get started. How are you guys going? You're still under quarantine. It's very difficult from Australia to track what's going on in the States because we get news that parts of America are opening up, and at the same time we get conflicting news that it's still quite a serious situation over there. So it's hard for us to sort of correlate those two things, but I assume you guys know what you're doing. Most importantly, you social distancing and staying safe, I suppose, as we are over here.
I mean, I've got the social distancing beard and hairdo right now, so I'm still in full social distancing mode.
Me
too. I've almost got an Australian mullet about to happen.
You and Lua now are getting the same hairdo. Lua's getting the Alex, the wings on the side.
Yeah, it's getting there. I'll be able to fly away soon.
Yeah.
So we've got Lem says most places in Georgia are open. Are you in Atlanta? You're in Atlanta, Lem?
Yeah, I know they opened the gyms. The gyms and stuff are back open. Really, dude, honestly, the part that's been the hard part is just not seeing other people. Like, things for me that have been closed haven't really been as much as you really think, besides the kids' school and stuff. I know obviously everybody's different. Some people have, their churches being closed and stuff like that was a lot. But yeah, it'll be nice when things get back to normal. Even though the Amazon sales will, hopefully those stay the way they are.
Amazon sales are going crazy right now. There's a lot of very happy people. And FBA is, FBA, as most people are aware, seriously restricted their incoming products for a long time to what they labeled as essential products. And it was a bit difficult to know without trying to set in a shipment what they were labeling as essential and what they weren't. But it appears that most things are flowing into the warehouses at a pretty return to normal pace right now, which is a huge relief for for everybody concerned. By all accounts, it seems like things are back on track, and you know, we're not talking about Christmas levels of sales, but sales are definitely on the up, and it's one silver lining in an otherwise difficult scenario for the world is that the people in our industry who are operating FBA right now or merchant fulfilled are doing, you know, reasonably well, which is good to hear. In Australia, we've had a lot of people actually lose their jobs, and I guess your unemployment situation is sort of happening over there as well in many industries, but we're pretty lucky that the industry that we were in before this all came along sort of, you know, symbiotic for a good outcome for us.
So you guys haven't had, your kids aren't going back to school until after the summer, right?
They've just, see, Australia and New Zealand.
Oh yeah, I forgot you guys have.
New Zealand's so far along with recovery that I think countrywide there's 25 people who've still got COVID-19. That's pretty much it.
Wow.
We're down to
more than that my town.
400 and something Australia-wide. And Australia is not a small place. And Queensland, which is the state that I'm in, is doing pretty well. We're down to, I think, 10 people Queensland-wide who've actually still got an active infection with COVID-19. So we've done very well in Australia. We social distance hard at the beginning. We closed the schools down, etc. So they're just, for the sake of, I guess, the economy at this point, they're starting to reopen things. They've reopened the schools this week, so we've sent our kids back. You know, we're all hoping that we don't see a second wave, of course, but as long as they can keep, say, the 10 people, which is spread out all the way from Cairns right down to the Gold Coast, which is, you know, a huge amount of area, they can keep those 10 people sort of in recovery, and it should be basically the end of it. But we've got our borders closed off. So from Queensland to New South Wales, you can't jump across the border and visit anyone at the moment. And we're basically dealing with it sort of, you know, Queensland-wide for now, and then when New South Wales is under control and Queensland's under control, then we'll look at reopening those borders and that kind of thing. But schools are reopened, and restaurants are slightly reopening. We can have 10 people dining in a restaurant at the moment, no more. So we had to book a week in advance, and my wife and I finally went out to dinner the other night.
There's so many potential your mama jokes in that. Well, no, there's just one. It's either 10 people or your mama. But there's gonna be yo mama jokes need to come back, dude. Where did those go?
I miss when my son was at that age, when he was just going through that 13, 14, 15-year-old age, and he just thought your mama jokes were the funniest thing in the world. And of course, as a 40-year-old man, I am a 13-year-old trapped in a 40-year-old body. But now he's
dude, I mean, yo mama jokes, that was the height of comedy. Things only got, but got him. That one was good too for a while. What is that game? What's that game you got behind you, Alex? Slim wants to know.
So that is
Lemonade.
that is a safecracker.
Safecracker.
Safecracker is a 3/4 size pinball machine. So it's the only one that can fit in my office. Most pinball machines are quite a bit deeper back there. This one's only 50 centimeters wide, whereas which is what's that in real talk, 20 inches.
Is it digital on the side, or is that like it's like sparkling from here?
I don't know if I can really show you much.
That's 22 inches wide for everyone who speaks regular talk.
Yeah, thank you for the conversion.
I can't really get the camera over there, but I got a really cool one.
Am I the only one seeing? It's like something weird, right? Like you can see through it.
It looks like it's got like mirror on it.
Is
that one just there? That is my newest one, which is the Big Lebowski pinball. They're very hard to come by. I think they only made a few hundred of them globally, and it's probably the coolest pinball machine right now.
That one has. That actually has a White Russian like on top of the glass, right?
Yeah, it does. It does.
That's awesome.
It's actually inside the glass.
A White Russian.
Play field where if you complete a bunch of shots, you can go down to the lower play field and go bowling, just like in the movie. So that's 3 of my pinballs there. You've got Funhouse, Tron, and the Big Lebowski. But I've got several throughout the house, about 20 actually. So
20.
little hobby of
Lynn
mine.
said
Yeah.
he thought that it looked a little bit adult, and I see it now.
Which one? Oh,
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
somebody's mind is in the gutter. Lamb.
Oh,
All right, guys. Well, today, what I was thinking we'd do is keep it nice and casual, but I wanted to jump
breezy,
into
if you will.
easy breezy cover girl. What I was thinking we'd do is we jump into some of the most commonly asked questions, which basically translates to how to best use tactical arbitrage to get to money faster, the anatomy of a deal, what constitutes a match, what filters to use, any special tips, and to try and keep that all reasonably concise, I created a PowerPoint.
Yeah. You know it's about to go down when the PowerPoint
I haven't done a
comes
PowerPoint
around.
in a while, and I was like 45 minutes before this show started. I thought, how easy is it to make a PowerPoint these days? And it's all pretty easy. It's all online, and you just type in a few things and insert a few stock image pictures, and suddenly you've got a PowerPoint. So,
But like a true PC user, you used PowerPoint and not Google Slides. Google Slides exponentially better.
Is it?
I mean, it's not better like from a tech standpoint, but like it's in the cloud and you can edit it on any computer. There's no files or crashing. Always go with Google Slides, Google Sheets.
So rushed. This was so rushed that I used an existing template which was based on coffee, and wherever we talked about filters, I kept the coffee pictures because I thought, yeah, coffee gets filtered. Let's just do it.
I was wondering, yeah, what that was.
I've got a screen share it. Let me just pull that up there. Arbitrage, the anatomy of a deal.
Ooh, that could be a good book.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I want to also keep this open to questions and answers as we go. And also, we might throw to the lads here to talk about some of the things like history chart analysis. I'm sure you're familiar with using tools such as Keeper, for example. And Tactical Arbitrage has its own variant of Keeper called History Chart, which the data points are collected at different timing, and there is some slight variations in there. For example, in a Keeper chart, let me just show you. So in a Keeper chart, this blue line here, for example, will be the price of the new seller price. However, it will not include shipping on a Keeper chart, whereas on Tactical Arbitrage, this blue line is the price including shipping. So let's say it says here buy box price of $159. Let's say it's $153 plus $5 shipping. That's why it says $158 there. So I like to think our buy box line is pretty damn cool because it is nice to know the exact buy box price and not just lean on the new seller price, which may or may not include shipping. So, but if I go back to presentation, we can dig into this a bit more. And history graphs, tracking the trends. Good old online PowerPoint doing a bit of a load there.
Who's that?
Why is it doing a load? There we go. History graphs, tracking the trends, loading. I don't know why that is. Okay. Trends to look at. So we've got new price, and as I just mentioned, so basically we're discussing here the history graphs, okay? So history graphs will be alongside every single product in Tactical Arbitrage in your results, and it gives you a bunch of data.
Alex, real quick, guys, if you have questions, you can ask them in the side, but we're going to come back to them later. But don't think that we aren't going to answer them or ignoring them. Alex is going to go through this, and we'll do some questions. There's a couple of questions already. So.
Yeah, and some of this stuff you may want to dig into deeper. Like I wanted to just mention that Christopher Grant has got a very useful course that is specifically tailored to the analysis of a keeper graph. Now it's going to be almost identical to analyzing a history graph. Would you agree, Chris? Because the data points are essentially the same, right? It's sales rank, buy box price, is Amazon a seller?
Exactly.
Where can they find that that little course of yours? Is that a Tactical Academy add-on?
So there is some inside of Tactical Academy, but I own Keep a Masterclass and keepachallenge.com and have not officially launched anything yet. I do have some videos recorded, but I'm probably going to do it live for everybody who wants to do it. So we'll do that soon.
That sounds cool.
Dragging his feet is what he means. He means he's dragging his feet.
Yeah, that's exactly what it means.
Has everybody else just gone into slow-mo motion while in, like, the days is kind of blending into each other while I've been in lockdown? Certainly there's been a few more beers of an evening than there used to be. I had to sort of watch the history graph of my stomach at the moment. Make sure it doesn't turn into something that I don't want to see on a MyFitness app graph. So I'm going to pop back to this presentation.
I've logged everything I've eaten since the quarantine started, and I don't know why, because I'm not like making changes to what I'm eating based on what I'm logging.
You've logged it or blogged it?
Logged it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's not an entree resource / my lunch experience.
/ lunchy lunch. No. No, it's just, dude, that app is sweet. Not to get off track when we've got pending questions, but the MyFitness app, MyFitnessPal, sorry. Get it, y'all.
It is a great app.
It is a great app. Sorry.
All right.
Totally off track.
I'll check it out.
Back to the cat.
I gotta admit, did I mention to you last week that I just bought a treadmill? It hasn't arrived yet, but I purchased a treadmill with one rule in mind. It must not have a front on it, you know, with all of the data and stuff, and it must be thinner than the legs of a pinball machine. So I found a treadmill which I can slide between the legs of my pinball machines.
Oh my god!
Play. Well, I mean, I get bored on the treadmills, so this gives me something to do. I can walk 6 kilometers an hour, which is, I don't know, what, 4 miles an hour in regular speed. Hey, Charles, Leslie's in the house. Hey, Charles. Hello,
that's a good idea, though.
Charles.
That is a good idea. I can't do it though. I've tried to do that before. Like I'll put a little pedal thing under my desk, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm tired.
I can't work. But I can do something mind-numbing like play pinball or something. Well, I don't know. I might realize as soon as I set it up, this was a stupid idea, and then that'll be a waste of money. But that happens.
Yeah, I mean, you'll feel like a real athlete, I think, playing it, sweating.
Well, I mean, as long as I can reach for my beer, walk on my treadmill, and play pinball at the same time, I'm sure that it should be a net positive. Okay, so trends to look at. In a history graph, we have 4 key points. You've got the new price, which in Tactical Arbitrage is the buy box price. And what we're looking for here is stability. So this is an example here where this price is nice and stable. And one of the reasons we're looking for stability is because if we were to buy something which had just shot up, like this one here, well, this isn't a great example. It's $10, but it's normally $7. So if we were to base our buying decision based on the fact that this is $10, whereas usually the price is $7, it gives me I have less confidence in me being able to sort of recoup the return on investment at the current $10 price if historically it is usually around that $7 price. Now, the other price point that I would encourage you to look at in such a scenario is the column average price 30 days and average price 90 days. So, for example, this item here is $14.57 buy box price, but the average price over 30 days is just $7.99. So in that particular scenario, you might want to second guess purchasing something based on that. And that's one of the metrics that you're going to want to have a look at on a history graph. That price, buy box price, and the stability over the course of a period of time. Now, the next thing that you're going to want to look at is the sales rank, and the sales rank spikes usually mean sales. And depending on the height of the spike, it can make a difference between whether or not that sale is a single sale or multiple item sale at the same time. So you see these little spikes here happening on this particular product. Every single one of these little spikes here is indicating a sale. Every time it drops, I should say. So let's say this goes all the way up to 489,000 sales rank and then plummets down to 168,000 sales rank. At that moment, a sale took place. Now, considering the height of the drop, it would indicate to me that the buyer probably purchased, more than one item. It's not necessarily true, because the higher that the rank gets to, the larger the drop will be anyway. However, you can usually compare when drops happen at similar times, whether it's a short drop or a larger drop, whether or not that can indicate multiple sales at the same time. But long story short,
well, one thing to keep in mind. So, like, someone could buy an order and they could buy 10, but that still only is going to show as one order on the graph, right? So it could be multiple different orders at the same time. But that was one thing that when I started, I was confused on. I was like, so if I buy 20 of something, is it going to jack the sales rank up? But it's going to only impact it as one order. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, it should, if they sell enough units at once, it should change the sales rank more significantly than if they just order one item. Have you found something different to that? Let me zoom in on this section here, for example.
Somebody in the comments can let me know if I'm wrong, but that's been my understanding.
See this little drop here is a very see, this little drop here is actually a very small drop. It dropped about 10,000. And then this one here dropped about, at a similar time, dropped about 100,000. Or this one dropped about 25,000. This one dropped 100,000. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that means that 4 units sold versus 1 unit sold, but I've always thought that this means that, and considering like estimated sales tracking as well, that this means that multiple units were sold in this case. But yeah, we could try and get some anecdotal responses on that. The main thing, of course, being, and the main point here is that when a drop happens, it indicates a sale is happening. So you can get a trajectory of how often sales are happening for a particular product just by looking at it over a period of time. So this is 1 week from March 22nd to March 29th. So even if you're discounting one drop at a time, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're looking at about a sale a day. And over the following week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're looking at about a sale a day there as well. A bit less. So what we're doing with a history graph is we're using it as a roadmap for the future. We can't predict the future, of course, but we can look at the history of a product and see that it has a pattern. And the pattern, there's no reason to believe that the pattern will suddenly end. It's based on a bunch of stuff like the positioning in the marketplace, the current price of the product, the overall buzz of the product currently. This product may be doing advertising at the moment, etc., etc. But it translates to approximately 1 sale a day for this particular product, and there's no real reason to believe that that's going to end unless the most recent is starting to drop right off. Now, in this particular case, it does start to sort of slow down the sales a bit to about 1 sale every 2 days, and so again, you're going to want to go into things and have a look at additional things such as estimated monthly sales. Those estimated monthly sales at the moment need checking, and we've got average rank as well. So we've got sales rank of 206,000, but over 30 days, it's an average rank of 332,000. And all of those points need to come together to help you read and make a decision on the on the history graph, and I do notice that the sales have dropped off quite a lot. It's actually not as much as it was back then. It actually has dropped down to just a few sales a month when having a look over the most recent few days. So over the most recent few weeks. So estimated sales has dropped right off there. The next data point to look at is the number of sellers, and is there any correlation on price? So if you turn on the number of sellers here, you can see the number of sellers starts at 1, goes up to 3, and then drops off. So there's not many people selling this particular product. It tells you a few things. It tells you that there's not a lot of competition. Over the most recent one. It sounds like myself.
That was. I'm trying to reply to these messages.
So, so it's telling me here that as these items sell, this particular seller's run out, and then he maybe restocked or somebody else jumped in. And at the moment, there's only 2 people selling this. So if this item was an item that I was interested in looking at, I'd be happy to see that you know, there wasn't too many people selling it. But one thing you might notice, let's say for example, it used to be a big thing. People would send out lists. Now, lists is something where somebody might take a tool like Tactical Arbitrage and export a list of 50 items to sell, and they share that to find to buy, and they share that with their, you know, their closed group, and then they give the same list to 100 people, for example. Now, you can usually tell if an item's been released on a list because the number of sellers will start to climb up. They might start with, say, 2 sellers, and then over the course of 2 weeks, suddenly peaks at about 50 sellers because everybody's buying the exact same thing. Now, what that usually correlates with is a decline in the current price because a race to the bottom occurs. People start to fight with each other in that same group to not get stuck holding the bag product because everybody bought the same product. So it's nice to see a nice stable number of sellers. It usually means that it hasn't been shared in a large group, at least not recently, and it helps you have more confidence in your buying decision again. The last data point would be the Amazon is a seller, and we are changing this at the moment. We're going to make this a little bit more like the Keeper graph has it, where we fill in these orange sections. But you can see when there's an orange dot that Amazon is in stock and what the current price point is. And when Amazon goes out of stock, it turns into a gray dot down the bottom here. So you can actually see. Now, you would be familiar with the Keeper variant of this, where it's a solid orange block and then gaps in the orange block when Amazon goes out of stock. So we're going to have a look into something very similar to showcase that a little better. Not that anyone's really complained about the orange dots, but I do find that it's a little harder to read myself personally. If it's harder to read for me, it's harder to read for other people. Gina says,
now we all notice. They are annoying.
Gina says, I'm not sure I understand how to recognize the number of sellers. Okay, so if I go back down to here, where I turned on the number of sellers here, you can actually see up the top here, it says new sellers 2. And then as I mouse over, it changes to 2, and then back down to 1. And then that number up here is changing as I mouse over. So that's the best way to do it. Otherwise, of course, you can pop over to the number of sellers in the column, the new seller column. It'll tell you how many sellers are there. And this is a current snapshot figure, not a historical figure. And from that, you can get an indication of how many sellers there are. Good question, Gina. Now, Lem has, Charles has said, feature request. When I highlight over a row or product, can there be an audible voice by Alex that says, buy 5 units, buy 20 units? Horrible history, I wish. That'd be good. Artificial intelligence. Lem Turner says, hot dang, I didn't know you could pull that up. Sweet. What do you mean, Lem? What I mean is that if there are multiple items in one order, it makes the rank go closer to 1.
Yeah, there definitely is something to that. I think that one order of 2 units doesn't have the same impact as 2 orders of 1 unit, but I'm not sure. I just don't think it's a 1-to-1 ratio and the impact of like units to the sales rank, but I need to look into it.
Algorithm it's recency plus it's such a moving target. It's really hard to like figure it out.
Yeah, there's upwards pressure from like those low ranks, like let's say a rank of 1 to there's so much. It's such a fast moving river down there that to sort of push into that, you just bounce straight back up. But up in the sort of 500,000 ranks, everything's moving so slow that if you start generating any traction at all, you can easily drop down to the the rank of 100,000 and whatnot. And then as you get your sales slow down, you'll start to sort of trickle back up to the top again. But the closer you get to that sort of the top 100,000 products, the harder it is to push into those higher ranks.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody asked for a discount to Storefront Stalker Pro. Whoever that is, just shoot me a PM. It just says Facebook user on my end. I'll get you a discount.
That's his actual name, Facebook user.
Facebook. It's a family name. The long history of the user family.
His initials are
user.
Sorry.
I don't see it in here now.
So it actually says to Facebook user. Okay, see the reason why it's saying that it says Facebook user is because you have to register for StreamYard. Once you've registered for StreamYard, your actual name will be sent from Facebook to us, but we're actually just seeing Facebook user there. That's the only reason why.
Anybody that's watching, you can use code TAKE50 for $50 off. Take as in take and 50 as in $50 off.
Then take that from the 1980s or 1990s. 50 as in how old you must be to have heard the band Take That. All right, so that's actually very generous of you, Nate. Is that a global offer for today? And if so, please drop a link in the comments so that people can see. That would be awesome. Thank you, man. That is $50 off Storefront Stalker for today only. Is that right? Am I hearing you right?
Yes, Steve, that is correct. $50 off with code take 50. Yep, take 50, right? Yep. Thank you for writing it so I don't have to. Take 50. That will work on any of the 2 Storefront Stalker Pro sales pages that I have out there. Gumroad or entreresource.com.
The point spread of Ohio State versus some high school team, Lim Turner says, for the 50.
Oh, God.
Oh, that was rough.
That was rough. I think that was the most transactions we've ever done in one day, but it was not the type of transactions you would want.
Yeah,
what did we end up doing?
That pinched the pocketbook. Yeah.
Yeah. 78% off or something ridiculous. Yeah, not one of my high moments.
Lim says that was the best thing ever.
I put myself into a horrible position because I'm sitting there rooting against my team. I'm like, stop scoring, stop it. It's gotten enough. Like you're already up by 70. Stop.
For those who missed the correlation here,
3%.
Nate and Chris did a bonus one day, which was based on the point spread between and it was a particularly large spread that day, and it cost them dearly.
Who did they play? Indiana?
I think so. I mean, it was some D3 school.
Painful.
Yeah.
I was ashamed to be an Ohio State fan just because we didn't need to do it. We didn't need to do them like that.
The mercy rule should have been enacted.
Yeah, we didn't need to go that far. We were already down. But oh man, let's change the subject because I'm missing sports. After this.
Filter tips. So you see, I used the coffee feature here because I was too lazy to change the template. Because filter, coffee filter, get away with it.
Such a stretch, but we'll let it slide.
Running with the coffee theme here, we have filtering in search. And
there's a lot of coffee in here. You're really leaning on that.
So the pros and cons of filtering in search versus filtering in columns, because I get asked this quite a bit. let me show you what I mean by that. So if I go to product search, we have all these different filters here, and you can apply all these filters when running your search, and it will affect the results that appear on your view data page here. And column filters are at the top, and it's just like I guess in an Excel document, you can actually filter your columns to show things in certain ranges, or let's say for a source here. Let's have a look. Whenever I run StreamYard at the same time as trying to operate any web page, it actually seems to slow down the page, which is not great. Yeah, I mean that should be opening straight away. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So there is different column filters that you can put there as well. So presentation. The pros of filtering in search. The pros are that your filter will be done during the search, so there'll be less results to search through. It'll also be faster, because if we detect a filter, if a filter gets basically flagged during the search is made up of many components. So first of all, we'll look at the source product. We're going to analyze the price. We're going to move over to Amazon. I'm going to start doing Amazon API calls. And during the course of those API calls, some of these filters might get triggered, whether that filter is in the title, whether the filter is in the price. We might not even get to Amazon because there might be a filter in here that says remove if the product is out of stock, for example, which is still basically during the source component. So it'll speed up the overall search because we're skipping along. Whenever we see something get flagged to remove that product, we don't need that product, we just skip to the next product. So it's faster. The cons are you can seriously limit your result from over-filtering. And in the same sentence, new users tend to switch on too many. So let's say I'm a brand new user and I go, oh, here we go. This is like candy. I'm gonna put number of reviews is less than 3, and I'm going to remove products with a source price of this and this. I'm going to remove oversized sellers, and you get the picture. Like you've added like 6 or 7 filters before you know it. And commonly, when we get support tickets from new users saying I'm having trouble finding things, when we check their filters, we can see that they've just seriously over-filtered. Now, a classic example of this would be with just 2 filters alone, you can remove awesome deals. That would be if you combine the ROI, the gross ROI, set that too high. Let's say I set that to must be 35%. That's already going to eliminate a lot of very good deals. And then we say remove average 30-day ranks of, say, I only see things over 50,000. So let's say, for example, just those 2 filters, they can clash with each other like this. A rank of a product comes along which is 50,001, but it has a 200% ROI. Based on that, you won't see this. You won't see that product. You will not see that result because you have filtered it out with the rank. And the flip side of that will be a rank of 49,000, but the gross ROI is 34%. So you've got
side note, before you go further, can we make a podcast about arbitrage called The Flip Side? Pocket that. We'll come back to it. I'm writing it down and I'm coming back to it. Len had a good point too. He says the estimated sales. What's that?
Sorry, Brooklyn 99 joke there.
Oh, Len had a good point. He said that the remove of estimated sales is less than feature is great because then he doesn't have to mess with the categorical differences. So like 50,000, is going to be different in toys versus yard, whatever else you want to do it. So yeah, that's a good point. You can break it down right into sales as opposed to guessing on the big numbers.
Yeah, that's true. You could definitely. However, I probably wouldn't use, again with the over filtering, I probably wouldn't use both, say, rank and estimated sales, you can quite happily just use remove if estimated sales is less than 2 products a month. You know, I don't mind selling wide instead of deep. So I don't mind if I see something only selling a couple of times a month. If the competition's not there and the margins are good, I'm happy to just shove in some slow moving products. And depending on size, and you've got so many little variables you need to sort of become, you know, familiar with, such as what would the storage costs be on this if it does sit for a couple of months? What's the size of the product? How does that, you know, equate with the storage prices? Does Amazon currently have free storage because of some worldwide global event? And is that still going, the free storage fees at the moment?
They long storage fees for the last time that it was charged, but they're not anymore. No.
Okay.
Facebook user says, how can I get all the info for a particular storefront? Profitable or not? Profitable, possible?
Well, I mean,
Stalker Pro.
Storefront Stalker, and then you grab.
Well, he was the one that was asking about it. I think. Do you mean how do you get all the ASINs from a storefront? To find out if anything's profitable, you'd have to run the ASINs through TA. But if you meant possible, you can do it. It'll do automatically can do up to 400 pages, but it can't do more than that without using a more long-winded approach. Unfortunately, we can only do what is shown, but there is a feature that Christopher Grant actually gave us that allows you to do more. There's a video to it, I believe, in the members area.
The brand,
and also
the brand trick.
Yeah, well, you can copy the links and then upload the links as a file, and then you can get way more ASINs than you would ever been able to get in Storefront Stalker by itself. That
was a really cool video. We showed that in a couple of maybe in episode 2 of Late Night with Tactical Arbitrage. If you wanted to dig back through the YouTube videos, I'm pretty sure we showed that whole video.
Yeah, we did. I'll share that video again here in a second.
Okay, cool. Storefront Stalker Pro works on Amazon Europe too?
Yes.
There you go. All right, back to the filtering. So pros and cons. Cons are you can overfilter. So in short, if you're going to use these filters, use them sparingly. And I'll go over what I personally recommend you do and don't use in the next slide. Filtering in columns, however, pros are you've got more control over what to examine. So on here, for example, I'm having a problem with this view data page, actually. I think it's got to do with StreamYard. So I'm going to restart that. So column of mine, you know what it is? It's because I've got 100 Chrome pages open. We'll come back to that. So you've got more control over what to examine because you have a lot less filtered during the search. So those items that are appearing in the view data page, you can decide. You know, you can work with what you do and don't want right there on the page. You can also combine. I'm having a trouble with this view data page, which doesn't normally happen during a show. Yeah, it won't even let me click on a button right now. Not. It's this.
I broke my website last night trying to speed it up.
Did you?
Yeah.
What did
so maybe I tried to visit Entre Resource. I just flew too close to the sun, dude. I got in there, I got cocky, messing around with the CSS, and thought I knew what I was doing. And then today somebody's like, "Hey, you know your site got hacked?" I'm like, "Duh, it didn't get hacked. I just broke it."
It's better when it's you.
Yeah, I should be like, "Oh my God, it's hacked. Who did this?"
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with my view data page today. I'm going to have to dig into that and make sure that it is just because of StreamYard. We have a entirely new interface launching in a few days, and I'm not sure I can easily show it here, where it's gross grossly accelerated every single aspect of tactical arbitrage, and we've been 18 months in the creation of it. Anyway, I will actually open this in another window and drag it over there, because I think it's this Chrome window. Because yeah, this Chrome window over here is actually flying. I just opened up the whole page in a few seconds.
Gotta clear that cache, homie.
Yeah, it's this one Chrome page over here. Maybe because it's the same one as I've got the.
Don't make that page feel bad. Like it's responsible for all of this. We're all to blame here.
It's just strange the way that it's doing it. I might just point my StreamYard at it instead.
We had a couple of questions that we kind of skipped over, and I promised we wouldn't skip over them, and we did. Frank says, I accidentally deleted all my data lists yesterday. Would it be possible to restore the list?
So we don't have an undo button built into Tactical Arbitrage. If you have, what have you deleted? If you've deleted sort of something.
He asked so long ago, he might not still be here, but Frank, yeah. If you're here, let us know what, he said all of his data list, so I don't know what it was then.
I mean, send in a support ticket. We can get the guys to have a look and sort of see what's there, because things don't get removed permanently from the system immediately. We may be able to see it there. So I've just moved this to another screen because for some reason that particular window was being plugged on my computer. But so the column filters at the top of the page here, you've got a bunch of different stuff that you can do on there, and essentially, back to the slide, it says you can combine them in various ways. For example, you can do a return on investment filter in combination with who holds the buy box filter and see those results, and we can unselect those, etc. You can combine those in different ways that best suit what you want to look at that time. The cons are, don't forget that you have the filters in use, because you might set it up and configure it a particular way. Sorry, you can't see that right now. Don't forget that you have these in use, and it doesn't have all the search filters. So all the search filters that you see on here are not in the column filters, for example. So there's some stuff here such as, let me see what's not there. Remove products containing the brand. There's a few things that are not in the column filters, for example, that are only available to use during the actual search itself. So that's the pros and cons of that. Now, filters in search that I would recommend that you use.
This is good, because this is Kirk asked right after Frank. Kirk said, this ties right in. When looking at the data, do you have a recommendation on the order of the columns? Are you not going to thank our sponsors? Who's our sponsor today?
Tactical Academy.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Free plug. All right, moving on.
I do always recommend Tactical Academy. How can I not? I mean, you guys have made one of the most turnkey how to profit with tactical arbitrage solutions. It's the only how to profit with tactical arbitrage solution on the market that I've ever seen of any like serious depth and worth. It's amazingly well done, and you priced it in some cases 10 times lower than some of the courses that are out there. I've seen courses out there for $5,000 that have got less content than you guys have put into Tactical Academy, and all of Chris's videos and the way you've got that structured. And I think it's only a few $100. So if you're going to invest in tactical arbitrage and how to best use TA to source products to sell on FBA, then why not get the complete roadmap on how to so that's today's sponsorship is brought to you by Tactical Academy. My suggestion is, if you're going to stick with TA for more than a month, if you're a month into it and you go, yep, this is me for a while, I am settling in, this is me, FBA and TA, and it's time to make bank, You can accelerate that with Tactical Academy, and it's extremely affordable. So tactical-academy.net.
.net. What are we, monsters?
I mean, we do own that too, but it is .com.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't want to take too much credit for it. It was Chris is the one that put it all together. I'm just what am I? I'm just here. Does the question qualify for a discount? Sure. Chris, we got a Academy discount we can give?
Let me go check.
Let me you want me to do it? I'll do it.
All right.
He might be after the TA discount. Where was his question?
Oh, TA discount? Yeah.
Where was Frank's question?
Oh, his was about he erased the data. So no. That's more of a very
unique to you question.
But good effort though for trying. Did we get those discounts to everybody last week?
Yes, I believe so. Nobody's writing me for a ungiven discount. Frank says the undo button. No, we're not going to be adding an undo button either. We've had a look into that, and you've got to consider that when Tactical Arbitrage is running, there's searches in operation, there's rows being written, there's queries called inserts and selects and read queries and write queries, and they're all happening in the database at once. To add an undo button would mean we'd have to sort of basically come in between. First, we'd have to sort of know exactly what you want to undo. Is it the write that just happened from search number 4, or is it the read that just happened from query number 16? And there's thousands of little queries at once. And so to undo a user action that just happened would have to somehow not trip over all of the other actions that are happening at the same time. It is actually possible. We have to add a whole bunch of new flags and then reverse those flags, but it's a long-term project if we do add it in there. But what's realistically a minimal gain, because we have all these pop-up boxes saying, "Are you sure you want to delete this page?" etc. And that in itself should be a deterrent for most people not to hit that button to delete their page. And that's why we get very, very few people ever saying, "I deleted XYZ and can I please get it back somehow?" So we've got to weigh up all these pros and cons. Do we want to pour all these resources into adding an undo button when we already have all these, preventative measures in place to stop people from doing that? And eventually, I guess we'll run out of tasks. That day may come. It hasn't come in 5 years, but let's say we run out of tasks, then an undo button, could be on the horizon, but it's not a priority for us right now. But definitely shoot through if you feel like you've lost something that you want us to chase up for you. We can look into your user account. So search and column filters that we recommend. Filters in search. Source price adjustments. Now, Lem's also referred to this too. He said, is there a way to not have Tactical Arbitrage use discounts in the search? I don't typically use gift cards and they show up in the view data page. Sure, just don't tick this to auto. You've probably got this selected as automatic. If you don't want gift cards in there, you can untick that. But you can get more granular if you like, Lem. You can turn this on. And then, so let's go to something that might have a gift card, like, Academy might have gift cards, for example. And if I turn that on, we have Card Cash has 8.7% off. You might not use Card Cash. You might use, we can go into the sources. You might only use Card Flip, for example. So you can actually untick all of these different options here and just have Card Flip on there. You might not have an account with anything other than, say, or Raise, for example. You might just use Raise. So because of that, you don't want to see Card Cash. So you notice how Card Cash just flipped off the screen there. It's no longer going to be used in the equation because that's not something that you are happy with using. But you do use Raise, for example, so you can have that come in there. So that was a good question, Len, because maybe some people don't know about that, and maybe they don't know that you can go in there and just select the sources that you use. Now, I've got to give a shout out to Christopher Grant's extension, Rev ROI, which is basically been absorbed into Tactical Arbitrage to allow this feature. The tool itself, as a standalone tool, is also very useful because it can be used on page at a lot of places. Like if you're at target.com, you can use the Rev ROI extension and see all of the gift cards and cashback options right there on the page. But it is also now built into TA. And yeah, I recommend you go in there and you set your sources. And you might just use eBaits, for example, here. So you go through and untick the ones you don't want to use. You just use eBaits, or maybe you've got a couple of others that you sometimes are happy to use. And then only when those ones show up will it apply those discounts. So in this case, we've got Be Frugal selected as one of our particular cashback options we're happy to use. In that case, it'll apply that 2% discount when doing the calculations. So store price adjustments I recommend you use, and learning how to use the automatic side of things is a great way to sort of speed up the best possible return on investment calculations for your product. The next thing, because we've got quite a few to go through, in the remove section, I would recommend to use either, as we discussed before, average 30-day ranks. Some people like to use 90. I'm just saying what I like to use in this one. So the average 30-day ranks or the estimated sales. Amazon price less than. This is not for everybody, but sometimes I just don't want to look at a product at Amazon. I don't do small and light, and in fact, I don't sell on Amazon at all anymore. Besides some test runs that I do for system learning in Australia. But I used to always use Amazon price less than, because I don't do small and light, and I didn't want to mess with products that were kind of, $12.95, for example. I'm more interested in products that are over, say, that price point, and so I would sometimes use that. It eliminates some, and once again, speeds up your search. Sometimes if Amazon title contains the word or words is a useful one to use as well. Particularly if you're seeing, sometimes people go in and they create bundles at Amazon, and it might be a bundle of a packet of playing cards mixed with a figurine, mixed with something else. And, bundles are great, but when you're trying to compare a product over at Target with something over at Amazon, sometimes it'll make the match because they'll have used the UPC from the playing cards, for example, and they've used the UPC for the playing cards, and so the match is there, but they've eliminated all of the details of the action figures and stuff. So you'll get these erroneous matches with bundles and things. And one of the best ways to get rid of these bundles is to actually put that in the word, in the search word. So you can say eliminate the product if Amazon title contains the word bundle, for example. And you can actually separate a few different things there that you might not want to see. So that's reasonably commonly used as well. Filters in search costs and fees. It is always wise to include a prep cost and a cost per pound to ship so that you can better estimate your return on investment. Anybody who has seen any of these presentations before know we're going over some same old ground here. And Nate and Christopher must be ready to throw themselves off a cliff. They've heard me go over this so many times, but it does warrant hammering home that these are the key filters to use and to not over filter. Unless you really need to. Like, let's say you really just hate messing with oversized products. The prep house you use charges $8 of an oversized product, and it just doesn't fit with your flow. Then you can maybe use something like remove oversized products, and that's not the kind of thing that will over filter you necessarily. Now, I also say in the profit and ROI, to pick one of these two things, I like to use gross ROI is at least, and I use a really low percentage, and I usually use really low, like 1%. And the reason for that is, as I've said a million times before, is once you go into Tactical Edge and start having a look at who is selling the items, you might find that the guy who is in the way, who is holding the buy box at the moment, he only has one of these items in stock, and he's a merchant fulfilled seller. Then the next guy, might be $3 more expensive, And so I just like to see anything with a profit to start with, and then I analyze further from there. So I keep that gross ROI super low. Other filters. So I put little asterisks beside these. I didn't quantify what those asterisks meant. And Chris might want to jump in here as well and give his reasons for why you've got to be careful with always show reverse search results and also show Amazon out of stock results. What are your thoughts on those, Chris?
Well, the one thing that I get a lot of people doing is with the always doing a reverse search is one, if you're chasing sales, yesterday was Memorial Day here in the States, so there was a ton of sales to take advantage of. But if you're chasing sales at one particular place, then you may just be wasting time doing the reverse search on a bunch of other sites where you're not going to be able to see the exact same kind of discounts. And then with the also show Amazon out of stock, I like to see the also show, but you've got to make sure that there's not some sort of duplicate listing. You don't necessarily want to list on something that's been out of stock for 6 months and it never sells because there's already another product that does sell. And I tell people to never use the only show Amazon out of stock because then they wonder, well, why don't I have any matching products in here?
Once again, that's where it's probably good to pay attention to the history graph to see whether or not there has been recent sales on that ASIN, because what Chris is saying is that there can be another ASIN which is the exact same product, and that could be the one that's scooping up all the sales. So if you're actually going, oh wow, Pie Face is out of stock. Wow, I can't believe Pie Face is out of stock. I'm going to send in 100 units to this ASIN. And then there's another ASIN where it's selling for like, $12.95 right next to it, and is absorbing all of the sales. So you might populate an ASIN which is essentially dead. But it is worth showing Amazon out of stock results if you're aware of that. And regarding my hesitation in showing reverse search results is you'll significantly slow down your search. Whenever somebody says, oh, my product search has gone slow, it's almost always because they've turned on, you're essentially doing 2 searches per ASIN. So you're doing a regular ASIN search, and then you're going in and you're doing a reverse search on top of that for every single ASIN. And reverse searches are slower than product searches, so you're going to turn that product search into something glacial. However, you will find more deals, more matches, etc. Just be prepared for that to slow down accordingly. Top of the page, we've got set cache. I keep this longer. What do you do with that, Chris? Do you max that out?
My cache is always maxed out 100% of the time.
It's faster, right?
Yeah, it's faster and they're easy to update. Even if you my cache can be 10 days. So even if it's 7 days old, it's easy to refresh the data. Typically, data does not change that much in 7 days or 10 days. Some people will ask me, well, aren't I going to be missing things? Remember, if you're not using rapid scan only, cache is going to find items that are not in the cache by looking at them live if they're not in the cache, and then just giving you that hot, nasty speed on everything that is in the cache.
So Nate, yeah, hot, nasty speed. I like that.
Yep. Gotta have it. Gots to have the hot, nasty speed.
So that's awesome. So new users may also like to go UPC sites only. One of the reasons being, of course, is that matching is never going to be so sweet as a UPC to UPC match, with the exception of things we mentioned before, like bundles, etc. One of the disadvantages, of course, is you turn on UPC site to products only. You've got to be aware that some of these sites here, we've detected a universal product code on some of the products in some of their categories. So we've we've added it to there. However, it might only be 20% of the products on their entire site have actually got UPCs. So what this is going to do is it's going to present to you sites, and then when you're scanning it, if we don't see a UPC, we're going to skip right over it. So you might run a search on Ace Hardware, but you're going to miss all these nice little title and image matches as well. It's good though when you're very first starting out to try running UPC only, because you'll be happier with the matches. I personally don't use this, but I do understand why some people do like to use it, and that's why there's little asterisks there. Also check UPC products for image matches. Now this will slow down, and this will slow things down. And what this will do is, if there's a UPC match appears, it'll also look for an image match. So sometimes the UPC has not been entered into the Amazon API. However, we have scanned hundreds of millions of products, I want to say, across multiple countries for all of the image data. So we've got a whole bunch of data points, and they talk to a whole bunch of data points. So when we actually look at a product, we basically use the same kind of technology as when you first turn on your laptop and it just looks at your face and tells you that, it says, okay, that's you, and it lets you in the door. So we've got the same kind of technology built into Tactical Arbitrage. It looks at a product and it compares it to this massive neural network of data, and it says, you know what, that's exactly the same or very close to these ASINs. Some of those ASINs have got a UPC, so it's just a straight up UPC match. We don't even need to do that, facial recognition style analysis. However, there is a bunch of products that maybe aren't filtering through that we can detect using image matching, and that takes more time. And again, if you're willing to spend the time on it, also check UPC products for image matches is a worthwhile setting to sometimes use occasionally. Expect it to be slower though. You can either use categories here, and now we've allowed you to put the categories in there row by row up to 25, and you can get your category example from the second tab over here. So for example, we're looking for things that, it's got to look the same, like academy.com/shop/browse, and then the category specific information. Now, as long as it looks like that, it's going to be able to scan it okay. And you can go across to Academy and find those categories. So you can either use categories or you can use Easy Bulk. Now, they're basically things we could do. We could do another video on, so we'll skip that for now. I also do recommend that you name a search, because that way it's easier for you to find these search results on your view data page. And also, as Christopher mentioned before, cache only is an option. If you wanted to really get results super fast, you can just set your cache high, set it to cache only. It's only going to return things that are sitting in our cache. So cache basically means that somebody else in the system has scanned that. And in my case, 10 days. You might only have 5 days, depending on what grandfather account you have. And on column filters, don't worry, guys, we're getting through this. After this page, we've just got a couple more pages to go, 2 more pages after this. On column filters, the columns that I would recommend you use are, I'll talk about the easy ones first, the no-brainer ones. Gross ROI, that would be like if you just wanted to see things over 10%, for example. Estimated sales. So let's say you don't do these, you don't use ROI much, or don't use estimated sales in your search. Then you can go in onto your column filters and you can check gross ROI range, estimated sales range. One thing people like to use for some quick wins is this UPC button, which is here on the UPC column. It will only show if both UPC columns have a match. That's a worthwhile column to use. Does the product have variations? Some people only like to see when the variation equals 1, because as soon as you start adding variations, your sales are going to be somewhat divided amongst all the variations. So if there's estimated sales of 10, but you're looking at a pair of Crocs which has got 400 variations on the one ASIN, you might be extremely limited as to how well that pair of khaki Crocs size 4 actually sells.
Khaki Crocs.
Who $5? So you might just want to look at merchant fulfilled sellers if you wanted to, mentally increase what the price of the buy box would be. Number of sellers, quantity, and match quality is important. So match quality is using the sort of facial recognition algorithm I talked about before. So this one here has a match quality of 90, right? And the reason for that will be that it's looking at this teeny mates vision here, and it's comparing it to this teeny mates here, and it's saying that it's 90% similar. It looks pretty similar to me, but it's seeing a few things that I am maybe missing. I'm just checking packaging there, maybe slight color differences. And it's saying that we've checked all the products over at Target. We've checked all the products checked all the images at both places. And we've determined that 2 of those images, one at each place, have got a maximum of 90 being the match quality. Now, you might say, okay, I don't want to see anything that is under 70, because if you start getting under 70, you start getting some questionable kind of matches, like color differences or posing differences, or just outright the wrong products. Like there's 400 different Spider-Mans out there, for example. It might say that 2 different Spider-Men are a match quality of 70, but it might say that the exact same Spider-Man is like a 92 or something like that. So you wanted to maybe mess with the match quality page. And this is particularly for title and image matches, because UPC are defaulting to 100 at the moment, although we're adding in a new layer to UPC where we also give you the accurate match quality score for the UPCs. Because originally we assumed that 2 identically matching UPCs is an automatic 100, but we've gone into that recently and found out that when you bring bundles into the equation, sometimes packaging changes, etc. So we need to get the match quality score more in line with title and image match for UPCs as well. That's in our to-do list. All right. Things that make a match. We can skip over this one quickly. UPC, visual images, match quality. Does the title appear the same? As you can see in this image here, you've got these 2 guys up here. They look identical, but you wanted to check a few other things too. Like, is it a pack of 3, for example? Pack of 3 fire station sets? You never know when you might need 3 fire station sets for your 3 kids who fight over the same toy. Packaging, bundles, and size and variations are all important to check, as we just discussed. Extra tips. Subscribe to newsletters. So at every one of these pages, like academy.com, or most of these pages, when you go to the site, there'll be an option to sign up for their newsletter. Not only can that sometimes give you discounts on your next purchase, but it'll also get emails to your inbox telling you when they have sales, and particularly sales on certain categories, or site-wide sales, etc. You want to keep an eye on that, and I recommend you would funnel those into somewhere that doesn't mix in with your regular emails. Otherwise, it'll get pretty messy pretty fast.
I will throw a little shout out to a site called salesgazer.com. It's I have a hand in building it, but someone else actually did the labor on it. Sign up, and then it's an email inbox, and it gives you all of the sites in TA automatically. You get every single email. It's searchable, and you don't have to cloud up your own email inbox. And I don't take the emails and email you later on, so it's free.
That is a very good tip. It will save you a bunch of time. SalesGazer?
Yep, salesgazer.com.
How am I not aware of this product? Is it well known?
I have not put out the word like it deserves. It deserves to be out there a lot more.
Oh wow, that sounds so cool. All right, well that makes this step super turnkey. All right, so extra tip number 1, check. Go straight to SalesGazer, use that. you've already got the edge by watching this video if you don't already use that. Storefront Stalker, we talked about before. Saving your easy bulk lists. So if you make an easy bulk for a particular site, or maybe it's you do one for Target and it's a toy specific one, or maybe you're doing an easy bulk. You can actually do easy bulks that have categories from various domains in one easy bulk. So it's basically like making an old school bulk list. So you can add the toys from Walmart, the toys from Kohl's, the toys from Target into one easy bulk, for example, or just the action figures for those guys. And then you can name and save that easy bulk so you can rerun it simply and quickly. In settings, I would enable updates and alerts. So what that will do is it will scan your saved data pages and look for things like product has come back into stock or product is now a positive ROI, and it will send you an email saying, hey mate, how you doing? Guess what? G.I. Joe has just dropped in price to $9 over at Target. It's still $24 at Amazon. You're looking at a 52% ROI. Wasn't like that last week, but it is right now. And because you've got the email set up, that is why you're getting told about it first. So that is just simply in the settings, and it's a simple matter of shoving some items into a saved data page and getting those searched periodically about 4 times a day, I think it is, in there, and auto update your view data. Not many people use this, and I don't know why you should use it. It's so simple. You can run long cache, set cache here, long cache, like 10 days. And then you turn on that feature over in settings, which is auto update view data. And what that will do is if the item on this page is older than 12 hours, so somewhere you set it for 10 days, and so you get something appear in here which is 4 days old. Somebody hasn't scanned miniature market for 4 days, and the data's come through quickly using cache, but it is 4 days old. Now, if you've got this setting turned on, we detect whether or not it's under 12 hours old, and we'll update that for you as soon as it hits the page. So that way, by the time you're having a look at it, it's probably already been updated to current return on investment calculations. And then, of course, you can just use your column filters to dig out those ones that are currently fresh and worth looking at. Buy wide and not deep, we covered that. That is like buying 1 or 2 units instead of 20 units, particularly when you're starting out. Just buy wider than deeper. And because we added all these cool additional things in here which do slow the searches down, like check UPC products for image matches. What do we got here? Reverse search results, etc. They slow stuff down. We made it so you can run multiple searches at once. It used to be one at a time. You'd have to wait till it was completely finished before you start the next one. And now you can run simultaneous scans. So you can fool around with some of these. In fact, you could literally run one scan with none of these things turned on, and at the exact same moment run the same scan with these things turned on, which will be much slower, but simultaneously you'll get all the results that you want from that site fast, but over a longer period of time you'll get the deeper results running side by side. So there's plenty of smart ways you can use simultaneous scanning, such as that. Lastly, and this requires probably its own video as well, and maybe in next week's one we should dig into both Tactical Edge and product variation tools as our focus, because Chris also has a lot of really cool ways to use those as well. Tactical Edge is, I'm just going to show you where the icons are. Tactical Edge is the microscope, or you can also access it from the dashboard, and that'll tell you what the competitors have in stock and what their current prices are, what your ROI will look like if you wait for them to sell out, for example. And product variations is this little pair of binoculars here. So for example, this product here has 28 different variations for one item. It's playing cards. NFL playing cards, so I'm guessing that's one for every team, or just about there. So, thank you. Let's go back to questions if we've got any missed. That's basically today's presentation on how to maximize your path to profit with Tactical Arbitrage.
Chris had
Proud of you
Chris
for
had a good
brushing off
question.
those PowerPoint skills. Good.
Right. Chris had a good question. Are you able to adjust search settings during a search, like if a new discount pops up, for example?
No. So when you begin a search, we send a whole bunch of parameters to the system, and that job begins with all those filters in place and everything. And we don't continually start, stop that particular search. If we were to start, stop it, then we could look for changes in the filters as you go. But we just basically run it as you've instructed us to run it from the start. However, what you could do is start a search and then change some filters and start another search, and those instructions will change per search in that respect. You can, however, in always be scanning, make some changes to the top of the page filters, and we do actually start stop in that particular case. So in the always be scanning page in TA, you can mess around with the stuff at the top of the page, and we will adjust the always be scanning parameters from that moment onwards for you. So yeah, in some respects we do, some respects we don't.
Nice. That was a longer show than normal, guys. Thank you all for sticking around.
Giobon says, man, you guys have not aged one bit. Somebody wants a discount.
Somebody wants a discount, yeah. He still the right way to get one, too.
Got a hell of a skincare routine at night. It takes like an hour and a half before bed.
Yeah, me too. At least an hour and a half. And then I actually wake up at the middle of the night to take care of some loose ends.
Exactly.
Or exfoliating.
Copious amounts of rum and crying, because that's my end of the day.
Tears keep the face young.
The days are long. The days are long. But anyway, everybody, we're going to cut it out nice and we've got a bit over time actually today. We did 90 minutes instead of our regular 1 hour. But very grateful for those who stuck around. Thank you so much. We're going to go, and we'll see you next week. We'll dive into maybe tactical edge and product variations. Thank you, Nate and Chris, for joining us today. And look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yeah, make sure to crank that volume.
I like it a lot.
Crank that volume up for the outro. Wake up the neighbors.
Here we go, guys. Peace.